You're tuning into Black and White Sports on YouTube. The no-holds-barred truth on sports. The main event starts.
All right, Black and White Sports supporters. Well, my goodness, what is it we have been saying since the very next morning after Shedeur Sanders was taken in the 5th round by the Cleveland Browns? I showed you guys a video. It was reaction right after the pick was made where Andrew Berry and Kevin Stefanski looked mad as hell. They were not happy. For somebody that just took what potentially could be their future franchise quarterback, they didn't look too thrilled. And probably by now you've heard the audio of Andrew Berry actually calling Shedeur and telling him, you're going to have to come in here and work your ass off. Well, now we got two things. We got a Browns insider coming out and saying the most incriminating thing outside of, hell yeah, it was Jimmy Haslam that took the pick. She is just coming out and saying, I plead the fifth, basically, all right, about whether or not Stefanski and Berry drafted Shedeur or was it a call from the owner. I said Jimmy Haslam, Deshaun Watson this whole thing up. Last time that happened, Baker Mayfield got shipped out of town. Again, you can't tell me they intended to do this. They drafted a quarterback in round 3. Now, I mean, they passed on Cleveland. Cleveland passed on Shedeur 6 times. 6 damn times. I mean, come on. This was a call from the owner. I'm telling you right now. So, let's start with Andrew Berry. He's made comments. He just comes out and admits, we wasn't planning on doing it. Browns general manager Andrew Berry said quarterback is too important a position to pass up on a talented player, and the Browns ultimately decided with Sanders there in the 5th round it was worth going and getting him. You passed on him 6 times. Quote, Shedeur, we talked often about quarterback being the most important position in the sport. We felt like it wasn't necessarily the plan going into the weekend to select 2 quarterbacks. No shit. But we do believe in best player available. We do believe in positional value. We didn't necessarily expect him to be available in the 5th round. He was available in the 3rd. He was available in the 4th. Berry said that after passing on Sanders repeatedly, they thought he was good value in the 5th round. Quote, he was a good, solid prospect at the most important position, just not solid enough to make the pick earlier. We felt like it got to a point where he was probably mispriced relative to the draft. The acquisition cost was pretty light. He's a guy that we think can outproduce his draft slot. So I wouldn't say anything more than that. Okay, that leads us here. And you see this headline right here in front of you. No confusion. Browns insider, stunned by Cleveland drafting Shedeur, suggests he could end up on the practice squad. Woo-wee. Here we go. 93.7 The Fan. All right. On the Browns drafting Shedeur, she said, I'm stunned. Who is this? A very reputable reporter that worked for NFL media, Aditi Kinkawala. That's right. She said, I'm, quote, stunned, repeating the phrase. There's a way that I think I can answer this and toe the line and be a responsible sideline reporter and all of that. But I'll tell you, it completely, absolutely blew my mind in every way possible. Especially after they had taken Dillon Gabriel. Gabriel is another rookie quarterback the Browns chose over Sanders in the 3rd round. Many believe some reports indicate that it was owner Jimmy Haslam who made the call on Sanders. Quite frankly, it's an easy theory to believe and perhaps one Kinkawala supports. Asked if she believes head coach Kevin Stefanski had any role in making that selection, she said, I'm going to plead the fifth. I'm compromised here. Referring to her role as contributor and reporter with the team. She's a reporter with the Cleveland Browns, and she's saying, I'm going to plead the fifth when asked about whether or not it was Stefanski or the owner that made the call. While it's easy to believe that Haslam forced their hand, she left the most interesting remark for last. Asked about how she thinks the Browns quarterback room will shake out, the host added, there's no way to get rid of Dillon Gabriel or Shedeur Sanders. She pushed back on that. Quote, how do you know Shedeur is a fifth-round pick? I mean, there's no guarantee he makes the 53-man roster, and then maybe he's on the practice squad. Wow. Wow. Of course, even if it's true Jimmy Haslam pushed the Browns to draft Shedeur, that doesn't mean the move can't work out. Dan Rooney nudged the Steelers into drafting Ben Roethlisberger. Well, look, owners do tend to have an influence when it comes to quarterbacks. That's not that uncommon. Do you think we need to take a quarterback here? Just wondering. Most of the time, it's tied around first-round picks. Okay? But here's the issue with the fifth round, yada, yada, yada. Jimmy Haslam is doing this in the same way that Jerry Jones loves attention on the Dallas Cowboys and in turn doesn't always make the greatest football decisions known to man, although I love that Joe Milton decision. That's a guy the Browns should have really went after. Because, yeah, I think that dude can play. Jimmy Haslam, it feels like he did this as an attention grab. All right? And it has very little to do with actual football skill. If it did, Dillon Gabriel wouldn't have been drafted in the third. It would have been Shedeur Sanders. And I think that's probably about where I thought, I mean, look, Shedeur's not crap. We've seen worse quarterbacks with he's 6'1.5". He's not short. He's not super tall. He's got good size, average arm. It's not a weak arm, but it's an average arm. He is not mobile. We know all this stuff. The system he played in, yikes. It may have been Pat Shurmur, but it wasn't an NFL system. They were running very much a collegiate system at Colorado, which hurt him in this draft, by the way. She just came out and told you, I'm going to plead the fifth on the Jimmy Haslam answer because I work for the team. Yikes. And here's the other thing. I told John this. We just got done with a live stream. We talked a lot of Shedeur on that stream. They are not cutting him, I don't believe. All right? And if they don't cut him, it won't be for purely football reasons. I mean, he may go in there and win the job. But let's say he doesn't and he's not doing great. And they decide to keep him. Jimmy Haslam is not going to allow the Cleveland Browns to cut Shedeur at least this season. He's just not. Because, look, the jersey sales. They put the jersey up, boom, it's gone almost instantly. This was in part a business decision. It's hard to fault Jimmy Haslam for that to a point. But what does that do, once again, to your general manager and your coach, who you saddled with Deshaun Watson at one point? That's some New York Jets kind of shit. That's why the Browns have been the Browns for so long, is moves just like that. Tell me what you think. Peace. I'm out. Till next time.
Thanks for watching the show. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Be sure to tune in next time on Black and White Sports.